Joining me now is international private investigator Jay Armis III and forensic psychologist Dr. John Delatorre. Thank you both for being with us here today. Jay, I feel there is conflicting messages, or at least I am conflicted in reading the messages coming from local law enforcement and the FBI. On one hand, there is this sense that they are zeroing in. There's forward deployment of HRT, of SWAT. There is some sense that they have leads that might be pointing them in some very limited directions. On the other hand, they're canvassing video from a month and a half long period, suggesting that the investigation is still wide open.
So the fact that they've mobilized their HRT team, which is the team that would affect the arrest of the perpetrator, tells me that they are starting to narrow in the scope of their investigation, and they want the team in place so that the team can be dispatched and react on a moment's notice.
But why then would you need to go back and look for neighbor video over a month and a half long period from the beginning of January to the date of the crime?
Because the investigation is still an active investigation, and they're looking for any clues. I said from the very beginning that I believe that this individual conducted some sort of surveillance prior to the date of the crime, which means typically they'll do a drive-through of the neighborhood, several days before, several weeks before. They'll go there multiple times, frequently trying to find the best way and the quickest way to get in and the quickest way to get out.
I'm still, Doctor, I will bring you into the conversation. On one hand, law enforcement is guarding information fairly closely to the vest. They're not sharing things with the public. That's become eminently clear. On the other hand, they're turning to the public for help for more information. Again, putting us in this position of, are you zeroing in? Is that why you're withholding information? You don't want to compromise the investigation? Or are you at a place where you're really asking, hey, we don't have it here. We need you, the public.
Well, yeah, I think it's about narrowing it down. I think there's so much chaos. There's so much noise being brought into this investigation, whether or not ransom notes are real, whether or not people detained are actually involved in the crime or just somehow ancillary involved. I think they're trying to focus, they're trying to tune out all the noise and try to figure out where exactly is the next step in this investigation. Where's the next piece that needs to be laid down in order to finalize and get Nancy Guthrie back?
In some ways, I feel like they are asking for the noise, asking for tips, soliciting 4,000 different calls to come in, which would suggest if you don't have some leads, you need someone to provide you those leads. Instead of zeroing in, they're opening up the investigation. But I'm not the investigator. You guys are both the experts on this. Stay with me for just a moment, guys, because we have brand new video that we want to share with you. There is new video, TMZ says, is on the FBI's radar in this case. It's being widely discussed online. It was captured at 1:52 in the morning at a home 5 miles from Nancy Guthrie's home. You see a man in the video both wearing a backpack and holding a backpack. One of them has reflective stripes, similar to the one worn by the man in the Nest camera video. The man appears to try and open a gate at a residence and is unable to do so. He leaves at 1:53. As a reminder, we have been told by law enforcement that software detected someone on camera at 2:12 a.m. So there would be 19 minutes in between this moment and that moment. And we want to be clear here. The person in this video is not a suspect or subject in any way at this time, but the video is out there and it's getting a lot of attention, so we wanted to address it, and it is being considered by the FBI. All right, let's turn back now to Jay Armis. So I'm trying to add together the timeline. This is 5 miles away from Nancy's residence at 1:50, what did we say, 1:53? Mm-hmm. So 1:52 a.m. And we need to put that into the timeline of when we see the video from Nancy's Nest camera footage, which I believe we just stated was at 2:12. Previously, there had been some discussion about 1:47 a.m.
The person in the video that was just shown, he may have been just a random burglar going and doing what they do at 2 o'clock in the morning, going from place to place, trying to see if they can break into cars, break into homes. The person that perpetrated this crime was definitely in a vehicle because he had to be able to remove Ms. Guthrie from the location in a vehicle.
Let's go back to Dr. Delatorre. Let's talk about video for just one moment. As I understand it, people have on their front door often a Ring branded camera. In this case, it was a Nest branded camera, which is operated by Google. They can or cannot hook that up to a server, a cloud service. Many of us have that. I'm sure many people watching do. And when you do have that connected to the cloud service, you have the capability of going back and reviewing footage from several days, maybe even weeks in the past. That doesn't seem to be the case here. It seems to be the case that if you do not connect it to the cloud footage, everything is recorded on the local device. So if the perp takes the camera device off of the door, and we've seen the empty holder, he now has basically absolved himself from anything that happens on video afterward, and it's hard to recover what happened before because it's on the device. Now, this is what Google and the FBI were able to do. They were able to go get this video, even though it was supposedly only on the local device, and give us the image that we have. My question for you is, why is that all? If they're capable of getting that, can't they go back further in time and see when was Nancy dropped off at her home? Who walked her, if anyone did, to the door?
Yeah, you would think that they would be able to do it. And I think one of the bigger concerns is there a search warrant in place to get some of that stuff? I mean, when you see something like this, you see that it's shady. But the other elements of who dropped her off, those kinds of things, while they are important, just to kind of fill out the information, it's really not necessary for the public to see those kinds of things. It's really only for the investigators. This is just what they've released. This isn't everything that they've said they have in terms of available evidence to them.
That's very fair. That's very fair. This is what they have chosen to share with the public, which we will say is very little at this time. At the same time, asking the public for help, which is a difficult position to put the public in, quite honestly. If you're looking for help, but limiting the amount of information for the public to be able to help you, you are inherently limiting, are you not, Jay? The public's ability to help you.
Well, I mean, this is the phase of the investigation where they're reaching out to the public to try and provide information to fill in the gaps. They've already gone to the process of obtaining forensics, and they've probably exhausted the tips that they had developed on their own. So now they're reaching out to the public to see if anyone knows. This looks like my coworker. This looks like my brother-in-law. This looks like my landscaper.
Something I want to ask you both. I'm sorry, Jay. Mm-hmm. There's been this tendency to describe this suspect as, I've even seen some suggestion that he could be slow or lazy and that he's an amateur. At some point, and Dr. Delatorre, I'll go to you first and then we'll finish with Jay. This has been pulled off for 12 days. At some point, we're dealing with one of two options. We're either dealing with the option that this is not an amateur, that this is somebody who did very well in getting away with what is a very high-profile crime for 12 days, or we're dealing with some very massive, embarrassing mistakes by law enforcement. Dr. Delatorre.
I mean, I won't count out the second thing, but here's the first thing. There's certainly possible when I see this video that I see someone who is putting in, they're more relaxed, they're more confident, right? Nothing about this is sort of, overwhelming. It's not distressing to them. They're there to fulfill a mission. They're there to do a thing that they've been convinced themselves to do, which is important for them to do. So there's not a lot of hesitation. Right? The steps, the gates and stuff like that could just be an awkward step. But what I'm seeing is someone who is ready to go to do this thing.
Whatever this thing may be, and that's the question. Was this a crime of invasion? Was it a property crime? Was it a murder? Was it a kidnapping? Was it a fixer cleaning up a previous crime? Last word to you, Jay. I just think that at some point, as this goes on longer and longer, we're dealing with something. We're either dealing with mistakes by law enforcement or criminals that weren't so bumbling.
That's not necessarily the case. A lot of times you have a bumbling criminal, but they didn't make enough mistakes that the law enforcement can capitalize on. In law enforcement and as investigators, we're always looking for the one mistake that we can use to catch the bad guy.
Yeah.
That one mistake that leads and that one thread that you pull on and it unravels the entire sweater.
Well, unless it's a cliche that doesn't hold true, we've always understood. There's even a show named after it. Most of the evidence is gathered in the first 48.
That's absolutely true.
This guy's pulled it off so far for 12 days.
So far.
All right, Jay Armas and John Delatorre, thank you both for being with us here today.
My pleasure.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.